Hello! We hope you're enjoying your stay at Toshi's place.
To help you make the most of your time in Kamakura, we've prepared this sightseeing guide.
Today, we'll introduce you to Kamakura-gu Shrine.
Yeah, Kamakura-gu. It might not be, the first name that pops into your head like some of the really famous temples around here.
Right, but it has this incredibly deep and quite moving story behind it. We thought we'd explore it a bit.
Absolutely. It all really revolves around this one central figure, a historical prince named Morinaga.
Prince Morinaga, also known as Shutenomiya. So, yeah, right away, there's a real narrative here.
Mm-hmm. And what's really striking, I think, is how the shrine itself came about. It wasn't built back in his time.
No, much later, right, and commissioned by someone pretty important.
Exactly. It was personally commissioned by Emperor Meiji, which, tells you something straight away. This place matters.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Who exactly was Prince Morinaga? Let's start there.
Sure. So Prince Morinaga, and the kanji is E, lived back in the early 14th century. He was actually the third son of Emperor Go-Daigo.
Go-Daigo, okay. And the other name, Ichinomiya.
That title comes from his youth. He spent time training at Ryakuji Temple up in Mount High. So you got this mix, imperial roots, but also this Buddhist training.
Interesting. But he didn't exactly stick to a quiet life of study, did he? The story takes a sharp turn.
It really does. That's one of the surprising things about him. He became this really bold warrior figure.
A warrior, an imperial prince.
Yeah. He played a huge part, like a decisive part, in his father's big push to overthrow the Kamakura shogunate. He wasn't just lending his name, he was right in the thick of the military campaigns.
Wow. So he helped bring down the whole shogunate system of that time.
He was key to it. But the victory didn't last long for him personally.
Here comes the tragic part of the story, I guess.
It is. See, after the shogunate fell, a new power struggle started up pretty quickly. Prince Morinaga ended up in conflict with Ashikaga Takauji.
Takauji, the one who would eventually start the next shogunate, the Ashikaga shogunate.
Exactly. So, big rivalry there. And unfortunately for Morinaga, it led to him being captured and then, well, assassinated.
Oh, no. How old was he?
Just 28?
Yeah.
Really young? Killed by retainers of Takauji's brother, Tadayoshi? That's a powerful story, isn't it? A bright flame snuffed out by the very political changes he helped ignite.
From prince to monk in training to warrior leader to victim of political intrigue, all by 28. That's quite a life.
It really is. So that's the incredible backstory. But the shrine we can visit today, Kamakura-gu, that comes much, much later.
Right. You said Meiji era, so late 19th century. Why then? Why him?
Well, that's where Emperor Meiji comes back in. Apparently, Emperor Meiji had this really deep admiration for Prince Morinaga, for his courage, but also a lot of sympathy for his tragic end.
Okay, so personal admiration was part of it.
A big part. And there seems to be this connection Emperor Meiji felt. He saw a parallel between Prince Morinaga's efforts in the Kinmu Restoration that attempt to restore imperial power back in the 14th century.
Right, Go-Daigo's restoration attempt.
Exactly. Meiji saw a parallel between that and his own massive undertaking, the Meiji Restoration in the 19th century.
I get it. So he saw Prince Morinaga as a kind of historical echo, someone who embodied that same spirit of imperial loyalty and trying to bring power back to the emperor?
Precisely. It wasn't just looking back. It was linking his own era, his own project, to this historical figure who represented the same ideals. It adds this whole symbolic weight to the shrine.
And you mentioned it's unique in that regard.
Yeah, get this. Kamakura-gu Shrine is the only shrine anywhere in Japan that Emperor Meiji personally commissioned.
The only one, wow.
Yeah. There's even a monument on the grounds that has his dedication on it. It really shows how important this specific story, this specific prince, was to him personally.
That really makes it stand out. Okay, so knowing all that history, what's it actually like when you visit the shrine today? What kind of things should people look out for?
Well, when you step onto the grounds, you definitely feel that history.
Oh.
One spot that apparently leaves a really strong impression is the earthen cell.
The cell. You mean where they say Prince Morinaga was held?
That's the one. Just imagining his final days confined in a place like that. It's described as pretty somber, quite powerful. A very direct link to the tragedy.
Definitely sobering. And what about the treasure hall? Is it just about the prince?
The treasure hall, or Homatsuden, is where you find artifacts connected to Prince Morinaga, things that give you a sense of his life and times. But here's where it gets kind of interesting and maybe a bit unexpected.
Oh, how so?
Well, the building itself apparently once served as a temporary imperial residence, which is interesting in itself.
Okay.
But inside, along with Prince Morinaga's things, You also find calligraphy by people from a totally different time period.
Really? Like who?
Like successive commanders of the combined fleet, the Japanese Navy, and also these figures called the three shipmasters of the Bakumatsu period.
Bakumatsu. Hang on. That's the end of the Edo period, right? Mid-19th century. Leading up to Meiji.
Exactly. Katsukaishu, Takahashi Deishu, Yamaoka Teishu, big names from that turbulent transition time. Completely different century from Prince Morinaga.
So wait, you've got stuff from a 14th century imperial warrior prince next to calligraphy, from 19th century leaders involved in the fall of the next shogunate and the rise of modern Japan.
Yeah. It's quite a mix, isn't it?
It really is. What's the thinking there? Is there a connection explained?
It's not explicitly laid out, from what we understand, but you could speculate, right? Maybe because Emperor Meiji commissioned it, the shrine became sort of associated with different pivotal moments in Japanese history.
Maybe linking periods of major change or imperial significance, Kenmu Restoration, Bakumatsu, Meiji Restoration.
Could be. Or perhaps just showing a broader sweep of national history, leadership, loyalty. It definitely makes you pause and think about how these different eras might connect, even if it's not immediately obvious.
It certainly broadens the shrine's focus beyond just the prince. Okay, let's talk about some of the more interactive things, the unique rituals and features people can experience there.
Right. There are some really special ones. One is this wooden statue called Nade Migawari-sama.
Nade, like to stroke or pat, and Migawari means substitute.
Exactly. It depicts Murakami Yoshiteru. He was one of Prince Morinaga's retainers, incredibly loyal.
It's okay, what's the story?
It's amazing. At the fall of Yoshino Castle, things were looking bad. The legend goes that Murakami disguised himself as the prince, drew the enemy's attention, shouted, "I am Prince Morinaga," and basically allowed himself to be killed. Took 16 arrows, they say, so the real prince could escape.
Wow, he sacrificed himself.
Completely. Told everyone to use his death as an example of loyalty. Just incredible devotion.
It's, yeah, incredible. And the statue.
So this statue, it was carved relatively recently, 2004, from this huge old Jalkova tree that was on the shrine grounds for over 100 years, is dedicated to him. And the nade part comes through the ritual. You gently touch or stroke the statue.
Why? What does it do?
It's believed to offer protection, healing. Like Murakami took the harm for the prince, the statue can symbolically take on your troubles or ailments. It's that Migawari substitute idea. It's a very tangible way to connect with that intense story of loyalty.
Touching a symbol of that kind of sacrifice. Yeah, I can see how that would be powerful. What else? I heard something about breaking dishes.
Ah, yes, the Kawaraki ware. You find this at the Sakazuki Wari Hall.
Sakazuki Wari. Cup breaking.
Sort of. You get these little unglazed clay discs called kawarak. You write your worries, your troubles, anything negative you want to get rid of onto the disc.
Okay, then what?
Then you take aim and throw it hard against this designated rock or wall. The idea is to smash it.
Literally shattering your problem.
Exactly. And it's not just a modern gimmick. It actually has roots in old samurai traditions.
Really? How so?
Apparently, before going into battle, samurai would sometimes break their sake cups, sakazuki, as a ritual. It was about casting off bad luck, purifying themselves, and praying for victory. So this Kawaraki ware ritual taps right into that ancient practice of facing challenges and seeking good fortune.
That adds a whole layer of meaning. It's not just cathartic, it connects you to samurai history.
Yeah.
Very cool. Are there special good luck charms, too?
Oh yes, the Shishigashira Omomori are very popular. Lion head charms.
Lion heads. What's the connection there?
The story goes that Prince Morinaga himself carried a small lion head ornament in his helmet when he went into battle, for protection.
Ah, so it comes directly from him.
Seems so. And these charms represent a lion that, as they say, devours evil and brings happiness.
Devours evil. I like that. Very protective imagery.
Definitely. People get them for all sorts of protection, general good luck, safety on the road, and again, that Migawari idea comes up, acting as a substitute to ward off harm.
And they look distinctive.
They do. They have these fierce, but sometimes kind of charming little faces. You'll often see rows of them near the purification basin. Apparently, it's a really popular spot for photos. And they even have different kinds, like pairs for couples.
Matching protective lions. Okay, noted. Any other visual things that stand out about the shrine itself?
Well, the main torii gate is interesting. It's not the usual bright vermilion color you see everywhere.
Oh, what color is it?
It's painted white and red. Apparently, this color scheme was adopted after World War II, and the colors symbolize purity and sincerity. Gives the entrance a very distinct feel.
Purity and sincerity. Sets a nice tone. And I heard there's something for literature fans, too.
Yes, this is really unique. They offer something called utamikuji, poetic fortunes.
Poetic fortunes, how does that work?
Instead of a standard fortune slip, you get one created by the head priest, who's a big fan of waka poetry. It includes an actual waka poem, classical Japanese poetry, chosen from a famous anthology called the Shinkokin Wakashu.
Wow, the Shinkokin Wakashu, that's a major work.
It is. So you get the poem, plus an interpretation of it, and also a fortune chart. It's this beautiful blend of fortune-telling and classical literature. Really special if you appreciate poetry.
That sounds like a wonderful, unique experience. Okay, so we've got history, rituals, charms. What about the setting? Kamakura is so green.
It is, and the shrine has a lovely natural aspect, too. Behind the main buildings, there's an area called the Shinen. It's described as a sacred forest path.
Sounds peaceful.
Exactly. A place for a quiet walk, maybe some forest bathing, as they say. Apparently, it was renovated just a few years back in 2021 after like 50 years. So it's meant to be this well-kept space for reflection away from everything.
Nice. Any specific trees or plants with stories?
There's a plum tree near the purification fountain called the Shogun Ume. Legend says it's a descendant of a tree that Prince Morinaga's brother, Prince Kaneyoshi, planted way down in Kyushu.
Another family connection woven into the plants.
Yeah, adds another little layer. And near that tree, there's also a small statue called Kamewakamaru.
Kamawakamaru.
Mm-hmm. And there's a little ritual there, too. You gently rub its head, take a little origami crane charm, and say a prayer for health and long life.
Health and longevity, another kind of blessing to seek. And you mentioned something seasonal.
Yes. In the autumn, they hold Kamakura Takigi No's.
Takigi no theater by firelight.
That's it. Traditional no performances held outdoors, lit by bonfires. It's supposed to be absolutely magical. Really atmospheric, combining the shrine's history with this ancient art form under the autumn sky.
Wow, no by bonfire at a historic shrine. That sounds like a must-see if you're there at the right time.
Definitely a seasonal highlight.
Okay, so putting it all together, we have this incredibly dramatic story of Prince Morinaga loyalty, bravery, tragedy.
Then the shrine itself, born from Emperor Meiji's personal connection and admiration, making it unique in Japan.
And when you visit, you find these powerful spaces like the Earthen Cell, the Treasure Hall, with its surprising mix of history.
Plus, these really engaging rituals touching the Nade Migawari-sama statue, breaking the Kawaraki discs, getting the lion charms.
The unique poetry fortunes, the peaceful forest path, the legendary plum tree, and maybe even Takigi no. It's quite a mix.
It really is. It's a place where this centuries-old story feels very much alive. Kept going through imperial will, unique traditions, and these physical connections you can make.
So for you, the visitor, it offers so many different ways to connect, whether it's quiet reflection, participating in a ritual, appreciating history, or just enjoying the atmosphere.
It's definitely a spot for a deeper engagement. Maybe finding insights you wouldn't get at some of the busier places. A chance to connect with themes of loyalty, fate, history.
As we wrap up our look at Kamakura-gu Shrine, it does make you think, doesn't it? How can a place built so long after the main events still make that history feel so present?
Yeah, and maybe consider how these old rituals, like touching that statue or smashing that clay dish, give us today a real physical way to kind of tap into the feelings, the struggles, the hopes of people from centuries ago. It's a fascinating bridge across time.
What did you think?
We hope the rest of your stay at Toshi's Place will be filled with wonderful memories.